Evening. My name is Armando Ramirez. I am the proud principal, el director de la Monroe High School. In an effort to get you out of here in time so you could begin celebrating 12 years and for some 13, if you count pre-K. You can give them a good hand for that. Para que empiece la parranda, I want to make sure we start on time. We've been trying to teach our young people how to get to places on time, especially class. So tonight it's even critical that we continue that tradition from Monroe. On behalf of the faculty and staff, I welcome our candidates for graduation, their parents and guardians, relative guests. Today we will present the class of 2014, James Monroe High School, 76th year. But of course, I got to lay out the rules first before we begin. I know some balloons were taken, they will be returned. High ceilings makes it difficult to get them back. But for decorum purposes, before we continue, I'd like to call everyone's attention to the commencement protocol explained on the back page of your program. If you'll take a look at that. Our school tradition is to honor the accomplishments of all students and their parents. We place a high value on this ceremony, which should reflect our sense of dignity and convey our respect. At this time, we ask that you silence your cell phones. On behalf of all our graduates, I ask for your pledge to support and your cooperation throughout the ceremony. Guests, please refrain from moving out of your seats during the ceremony. As we introduce each candidate, feel free to show your appreciation for their effort, but please respect other candidates being recognized by listening to their names when called. Thank you. Now the national anthem. It is our honor to introduce a member of our class of 2015 tonight, Nordica Brown, who will perform the national anthem. I ask that you now please stand. Nordica. Oh, you want to invite them in? Oh, I'm sorry, we forgot the graduates. I thought we'd get started without them. They're always late anyway, so I figured they'd just show up. They usually, you give them the 15-minute rule, getting them ready for college. All right, why don't we just do what we came to see? Let's welcome our graduates. You can stand up. You can cheer. The class of 2014, James Monroe High School. like to apologize to the graduates. In my haste to get you out of here, I forgot to bring you in here. So I also want to recognize some special guests that are with here. Commissioner Cruz, Board of Education, is here with us to celebrate. Patty Malgeri, on behalf of the superintendent who's running around the district, so we want to thank, and Katerina Leone Menino also is here with us. Also, I want to recognize the number of graduates from Monroe, former students, and the friends of the graduates that are here. And that's what makes Monroe very special, that we are a family. Let's give them a hand also. This could not be done if it were not for the people in the trenches that are right back there supporting us. So the many teachers that work day in and day out on weekends getting lesson plans ready. They're right there in the back. Let's look around and say thank you to the teachers. And then without mommy and papi, mommy and daddy, this would never be possible. So graduates, let's give them a hand. So you know Mr. Ramirez, when he has a mic, he won't let it go. I am not the speaker of the night, but I will speak a lot. I'm going to now invite Nordica Brown again so we can get started with our national anthem. Thank you, Nordica. You may be seated. It takes a great deal of courage to come up here and do that. You may all be seated. This was a very challenging, my 24 years as an educator and my 4th as a principal. This perhaps was the most challenging commencement speech that I had to prepare. And I think it's so because when Bohan knocked on my door at Marshall and he asked me to come to Monroe, he talked about transformation. And everybody knows that Transformers broke out last night and everybody was excited. So I thought, wow, this should be all about transformation. And this has been a difficult challenge to speak about all these wonderful young people here that have made me a wiser and richer person. I want to begin thanking my leadership team. They do a great deal of the work at James Monroe High School. I'm just the name on the desk, but I'd like to introduce them. I'd like to begin with the women that really run the building. Miss Susan Hart, Miss Sandra Chevalier Blackman, Miss Nicole Littlewood, and Miss Mary Munoz. That's the brains of the organization. Now let me talk to you about the brawn, the muscle. We have Mr. Pappas, 9th grade and 10th grade administrator. We have Mr. Jason Mohammed, who had to deal with 500 7th and 8th graders We have Mr. Whitman, our athletic director. The most beloved member of our administrative staff, as you will soon see, is Mr. Anthony Bianchi. I don't want to outdo him, so I won't introduce myself. Thank you. That's going to cost you. It wasn't as good as Tony's. But we're not jealous about one another, because in order to have a good team, we have to complement everything. And Mr. Bianchi has guided these young people with a great deal of passion and love and patience. I think only one kid made it to ISS this year, which says a lot about the nurturing that he did in school, out of school, finding employment, writing people home when they didn't have, hugging, supporting. He was the crying pillow for many. You can clap for Mr. Bianchi again. I know you're tired. A great deal of the work, I'd like to introduce two very strong women that have been with me on this 4-year journey, Ms. Picoretto and Ms. Claus. They are the junior and senior class advisors. She's also the registrar that was able to help Bolhan complete many of his tasks about getting schedules ready for distribution and also maneuvering through the central scheduling. So I want to thank for the multiple roles that you serve. So thank you very much. I talked about Bolhan knocking on my door and talking about transformation. And I talked about the movie, and it netted about $8.8 million just on the opening. But I want to talk to you about the real transformation here at James Monroe High School. I've seen boys become men. I've seen girls become young ladies. I've seen students become scholars. And the real news at Monroe is not what you hear published once in a while when there's space in the newspaper, space on the air. I think it's important for us to talk about the achievements. The real news is that graduation at Monroe has almost doubled. Last year, it went up 50%. 50% doesn't seem like a lot when it was attached to 28%, but our graduation rate went from 28 to almost 43%. There are schools that haven't raised their graduation in 10 years, 1%. So I'm very proud of that. But that's these young people, and there's grown-ups up there that do that. It also happens because you begin to believe. You begin to believe. And the best signal I saw of that is when you named yourself. Because usually as a principal, I get to name you. I got a lot of names, Pancho, Oye, Jose, but then I found out there's a lot of Jose's. But you named yourself, and I couldn't outdo it, Neonexus, correct? Tell me what it means. Tell them what it means. Born to succeed. See, many of our kids don't know that they were kings and queens before they were slaves, because history takes that away from them. So here are my kings and queens right here. It's not about GPA. It's about the lifelong learners that we are creating right here. I want to talk about some of these things because the road has not been that easy. Not for them, not for the people in the back seats, and not for you either. It's taken a long haul. But I want to talk about some of the people that have had an impact on my journey here. Jolisha Gauze, where are you? Where's Jolisha? Stand up, Jolisha. Because Jolisha exemplifies the determination of many of the young ladies in this building. Her mother talked bad about me on WDKX. And that was okay. I talked to your mom about that already. But she wanted something to happen. And I've been saying, take control of the building. This building belongs to you. You should dictate the agenda in the building. Only you know how you learn. And Jolisha kept knocking on my door. I need this Black History celebration. I need it. Our kids need to be represented. And we made that happen. And so thank you, because you led that with passion. Brianna Totten, where are you? Where's Brianna? Stand up, she's so shy. But I remember on my journey, I had a very sad moment where I thought about quitting. And out of nowhere, God sent me somebody, and that was in the form of Brianna Town. She wrote me a nice card that still hangs on my door. And she gave me the thanks, and she gave me the appreciation I needed. And every time I feel like this load is so heavy, Brianna, your message to me that came at such a timely point in my life, I continue to read and look for that energy, because if I made a difference in your life and you were able to articulate that, it empowered me to work even harder. So thank you. And that speaks to the character of our young people, that they don't just think about themselves, they think about everyone else. Evelyn Smith, where are you? Evelyn Smith exemplifies the determination of many students. She struggled and worked hard, and she's followed us from Marshall all the way to Monroe, and she followed the people that had been on her side. And Evelyn is here because of her determination, that of her father. So I want to thank you for never quitting. I overheard someone in the audience saying at another school there was 3 pages of graduates, but those graduates did not walk the path that many of our children have to walk, because many have only been in the country 2 or 3 years. And to drop any immigrant off in a country where they don't know the language and be expected to pass an English test, many of us could not do it even as adults. So I think of Natalia Rosado Oliveras. Where are you? Natalia, I feel sorry for the young man that decides he wants to be a partner with her, because she's one of the most committed, most determined, most unfiltered young ladies, because she is so passionate. But I learned about her and her family and her journey. When they arrived here, her mother would walk with the daughters, and they would look and knock on doors and do resumes together and work and applications, and they'd practice their English as a family. And they would walk the streets because they didn't have any transportation. And now her mother works at La Voz, and she contributes to our community. Natalia is a wonderful lady, but she exemplifies the journey of our family. So thank you, Natalia. Notice I'm talking about a lot of girls, guys. I'll get to you in a minute. Shayla Burns. Shayla Burns said something to me, kind of hurt my feelings. So I remember that because it brought everything back in focus. Monroe, and I thought the same thing when I was sitting at Marshall, that's where the Puerto Ricans go, right? That's the house of the Puerto Ricans. A plane comes in from Puerto Rico, 7 seats open, we got 7 new entrants. But it feels like that every day we have more immigrants from Colombia, Barranquilla. Oh, that's the same place. Oh, that's me. We don't have that many of those, but we have a lot of people that come to this. But Shayla said to me, I didn't think I was going to win a scholarship because I'm black. And I was like, wow, Shayla, how could you say that? You've been eating lunch right outside my office for a whole year. But then it brought into focus that sometimes in our effort to help certain kids, we forget that there are other young people that may not need that same amount of support, that we lose focus. So Shayla, thanks for bringing the focus back into my job. Thank you, Shayla. And then I was like, oh yeah, you want to talk about me, Shayla? I'm not going to give you something that you got coming. So, we'll talk about that later, but thank you. There's another young lady here that's special to the Ramirez family too. And she's special because she's one of the few students that have ever come into my home or knows where I live, and that's for safety reasons. Ruby Melendez, stand up. Ruby Melendez also came from Marshall, but she also came from Eugenio Maria de Hostos Charter School. And she was a student with my wife for I think 3 or 4 years. And so she's been a special member. She's been to my house to make cookies and Christmas cookies and stuff. But she also hurt my feelings. The first time I walked in, she was all nasty. Oh, you coming here to change, Marshall. You coming to close it. And she was written. I said, wait a minute, you're the Ruby Melendez? Oh, heck no. So I went home and I snitched on her. And I told my wife. And when I told her I was telling her, she started crying. Oh, please don't tell me it's my Ramirez. But these are some of the challenges. And Everton Lewis is in here somewhere. Let me go to Everton. Thank you, Ruby. Come on, Everton. Because You've been part of my life learning. Everton and I have been battling for a long time. And one of the things that I recognize about Everton, that if he goes into life with the same passion he went at me to make his points, you were going to be one of the most successful young men that comes out of Monroe High School. So I want to thank you for your passion, your commitment, and you should never give up on what you believe. Be surprised. Also, Nelson. Nelson, I was so mad at you all year, and if you didn't graduate, I was going to go to your house, and I was going to jump him, and so was his sister. So I want to thank Nelson for his determination in making sure that a whole bunch of people that came from Puerto Rico, they didn't jump you after school. There's so many, many more stories, but I want to talk about the first young lady that I met when I came to to Monroe. And I got in trouble for saying that when I came from Wilson, but I call her Chiquitín. And that's Millie. Millie, stand up. Millie, stand up. Oh, I'm sorry. But when I first got to Monroe, I didn't know that they call you el director, right? They call me presidente, el director. I'm like, director? I was like an academy director before. I'm like, I ain't no director. I'm the principal. She said, oh, no, mister. That's what we say to the principal. You're the director. And so she welcomed me with the Monroe love that I've gotten to learn over the last couple of years. So I wanted to thank you when you welcomed me. Thank you so very much. There's so many more stories, and I don't want to leave anybody out because although the numbers are small, a pot of gold is a pot of gold. And we're not talking about quantity because we can graduate quantity and push people through, but we're talking about quality of students. Every one of these students are going to do something great, and I'll give you an example later about that. So thank you to you. I'd like to begin, because I know there's another speaker, and I'll get the microphone back so I'll be able to finish. But Del Smith, our keynote speaker, has extensive management and leadership experience in industries such as healthcare, IT, education, and government. He has served in numerous roles throughout his career, including IT analysis in the U.S. Army, consultant for 500 companies, Fortune 500 companies, business professor, and serial entrepreneur. Dr. Smith formed his first tech startup at the age of 25, which he subsequently sold. His most recent startup, a strategic HR and IT management consulting company, was purchased in 2012 by a 750 million Canadian firm. Dr. Smith currently serves as Commissioner of Neighborhood and Business Development for the City of Rochester, where he oversees all housing and economic development programs. He is also a tenured associate professor of management at RIT, having served as the inaugural director of the University Center for Urban Entrepreneurship. Dr. Smith's research focuses on growth of minority-based businesses and has appeared in leading journals such as Management Decision, Human Relations, and Journal of Business Research. In addition to his published research, Dr. Smith frequently presents at conferences and workshops across the country. At the age of 32, the Rochester Business Journal named Dr. Smith an honoree of their 40 Under 40 Award, which recognized professionals younger than 40 years of age for service in their jobs in the community. Dr. Smith received a Bachelor's in Business Administration from Faulkner University, an MS in Management from Troy University, and a PhD in Management from the University of Alabama. Let's give it up for Del Smith.
Well, good evening to everyone here. This is a tough act to follow with Principal Ramirez because I can see why this high school is so successful with the graduation rates because of his leadership. So I just want to thank you for that gracious introduction. Way too long, but I want to just say a few words to you this evening. I know I'm standing in the way between you getting your diploma and going out to celebrate tonight, and so I'll keep my remarks rather brief. Let me start off by first thanking the Monroe High administrators, the staff, especially the teachers here as well, because of your leadership of working with our most valuable resources, our youth. We're able to celebrate this evening. So let's give them a round of applause one more time. I think we gave credit already, but I would be remiss not to signal out and take special attention to the parents, the family, the support structure that's here for our youth, and more so than everybody clapping for them, I would like for our graduates to take time to stand and point or look at whoever's here to support you and to give them the biggest round of applause that you possibly can for the support they provided to you over the years. So graduates, can you stand up and do that for me, please? All right, now give them some support. Okay, there you go. W.B. Du Bois stated that children learn more from what you are than what you teach. And I think that that's a very telling statement. And I can just tell that from looking at the graduates here today that you are something very significant to them. You're excellent role models for them. And I'm sure they very much appreciate that. You know, your journey here, as Principal Ramirez said, probably wasn't easy. You had many challenges along the way. But the most important thing is that you recognize that your education should be a priority for you. And not too long ago, I finished a book. The book was entitled The Mastery by Robert Greene. And in that book, the author shared a secret to greatness that he had found after interviewing some of the world's most successful people. And one particular quote that stood out to me is one I'd like to share with you today. He said, "In our culture, we tend to equate thinking and intellectual powers with success and achievement. However, our level of desire, patience, persistence, and confidence ends up playing a much larger role in success than sheer reasoning power." And I want you to hang on to that statement for a minute because I'm going to come back to it. In my work as Commissioner of Neighborhood and Business Development, I bear witness to this tale of two cities that exist in our city of Rochester. We have one city that's doing pretty well. Individuals are making a good living. I spend a lot of time working with developers and business folks, trying to help them close multi-million-dollar deals so they can redevelop our city and contribute and create jobs. And that's a great thing. But we also have a city, as you know, that is very much in stark contrast to that. Many of you probably heard the news about us being ranked as the third poorest city in our country. This report came out last week. Again, I will state this report used U.S. Census Bureau data to state that the city of Rochester is the third poorest city in the nation. Now, this news comes on the heels of some data a few months back that listed Rochester as the fifth poorest city among the nation's 75 largest metro areas. So the news seems to be getting worse in some instances. And then you kind of couple that with probably the saddest statistic that I read, which is that our Crescent area, the northern part of our city, is actually home to the highest rate of infant mortality in the state of New York. Sometimes can be equated to that of third world countries. Nearly 28% of our population lives in poverty, 28%. Now, I say this to you not to get us solemn, not to be a bearer of bad news on a great day to celebrate, but I spent a considerable amount of time trying to understand, as I sit here and I interact with these two different cities, try to understand what is it that has someone end up in one city versus the other city. And so from my perspective, I started to think that maybe this is a matter of circumstance. People didn't really have a choice in the matter. You were born in a certain family or in a certain zip code, and from that, your life kind of stayed that way. You were either very wealthy, had a lot of opportunities, or you were surrounded by challenges and poverty. But my perspective has definitely started to change, and I'll tell you why. I really believe that we have a choice as to which one of those environments that we choose to live in. Now, I don't just make my statement from observation. I also believe that my own experiences come to bear on that conclusion. So I attended 14 different schools between kindergarten and 12th grade. This is due to my family's financial situation and the fact that I had a father who was in trouble with the law, and we were always trying to stay one step ahead of the police. See, I missed so much school because I had a son at the age of 17 when I was in the 10th grade. I didn't know I was going to graduate until a week before graduation. Anybody in the room like that here, right? You didn't really know you were going to be sitting here until just recently? Okay, all right. Thank you for being real with that one. I appreciate that. So I was in that situation, and for me, college was a dream. I had no idea that that was even a possibility for me. And so I enlisted in the military. While I was there, and after I got out, I took classes at community colleges in order to get a degree. It took me 10 years after graduating high school before I actually earned my college degree. 10 years. And on my transcript, I had 3 community colleges listed there where I was able to add up all of my classes in order to get my degree. You know, the interesting thing is on the way over here, my son, who's now 20, said, "Let me see your notes about what you're going to talk about." So I showed him the notes, and he was reading through it. And he said, "You know, I never knew it took you 10 years to get your college degree after graduating high school." And I say that because I don't wear those challenges on my sleeves like many of you. You've gone through many challenges, and you don't wear those on your sleeves, but they're things that you go through. So seeing how education was important for me, I decided, even after getting my college degree, I was going to go on and get my master's and my PhD. And I did all these things while being a single father of 2 boys, age 8 years old and 4 years old. But again, I don't wear these challenges on my sleeves because every single one of us sitting here, everyone sitting here, has some type of challenge that you can talk about as well. Was I able to accomplish these things because I had a greater level of intellect? I really don't think so. I really don't think I'm any smarter than any of you sitting here today. I'll go back to that statement I made to you earlier. In our culture, we tend to equate thinking and intellectual powers with success and achievement. However, our level of desire, patience, persistence, and confidence ends up playing a much larger role in success than sheer reasoning power. And see, I believe that. I believe it wasn't my intellect. I believe it was my desire, my persistence, my confidence that allowed me to be in the situation that I'm in today. And I believe that the very second that you truly start believing that yourself, your mindset will change. Your decisions will change. Your behaviors will change. You'll start to yearn for excellence instead of settling for mediocrity. You will start to seek out ways to grow and develop versus staying stagnant and settling for the same old, same old. You'll start to get excited about learning new things versus being comfortable with the knowledge that you've acquired to date. And you will start to feel like you have a strong calling in your life versus just wandering through asking the question, what is my purpose? Let today serve as a reminder of your greatness. It is tangible proof that desire, that patience, persistence, and confidence produces results. President Barack Obama said, "Making your mark on the world is hard. If it were easy, everyone would do it, but it's not. It takes patience, it takes commitment, and it comes with plenty of failure along the way. The real test is not whether you avoid this failure," he says, "because you won't. It's whether you let it harden or shame you into inaction, or whether you learn from it, whether you choose to persevere." Graduates, I encourage you, choose to persevere. I want to thank you for your time today. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I want to congratulate you on much success in the future. This is a glorious day, and I hope that we can celebrate and just recognize each individual person that's sitting here and the work that you've done to get to this point. I thank you so much for your time.
Dr. Smith said, "It's hot up there." They did turn off the AC on us. I want to share another bit because Dr. Smith hit on some things. This is the first time that my family has ever been invited to any of my graduations. I too was raised by a mom, 5 children, and we were on welfare most of our lives. For many, many years, I looked out there to get the approval to get their validation for what I was doing. And so my mother never came to any, she had to be my mom and my dad at the same time. So I didn't get the hugs and the kiss that a traditional mom gives. And I never, even when I sat there, my mom was not at my graduation. She wasn't there for my first degree, my second degree, and I just gave up. I didn't go to my 3rd graduation. But today's the first time that I invited my family as a principal, as a student, and they're sitting here with me, my wonderful wife, Maria Vasquez Ramirez, her dad, and her aunt. And they had been my family, and I invited them today so I could stop that. So now I'm not looking for their approval. I just want to show you off. And I wanted you to know that whether you stand alone at many times, it's okay. Don't look for others to validate what you're doing and to say it's okay where you are. Take yourself, pave a new road for yourself, but don't look for others to validate or complete you. That's very, very important. There's so many other people I know that I'm leaving out, like Nicole Ortiz. You've traveled a tough journey too, becoming a mother and proving to everybody that just because you chose a different path does not make you any different, but it's your resolve that will continue to help you push. I want to thank you for that because you remind me every day. I have an honor now to introduce two people that are living parallel lives, the valedictorian and the salutatorian. We have ranked the members of our class of 2014 by calculating grades earned during 4 years at Monroe, including those earned as late as this Thursday. At this time, I would like to introduce those two individuals, but I'm going to read about them because we were thinking about writing two separate things, but they're so alike. And so if you just bear with me and pull out my notes, and I promise I'll try to be fair. I know people are getting hungry. This year, valedictorian and salutatorian are extremely conscientious scholars who appreciate education. These students entered Monroe from Puerto Rico, and they came during their high school years. They haven't been here that long. And they, by far, have surpassed many potential barriers and are extraordinarily academically talented students. These scholars elected to make good choices, to take advanced placement courses, to take Regents classes. In the classroom, they're ideal students, inquisitive, they're hardworking, responsible, motivated, respectful, and that's how they're described by many of their teachers. Able to work well both independently or in groups, contributing members of each of their classes. Their teachers consistently praise them for their scholarly work and their exceptional work ethics. Their exceptional characters only complement their academic success. They have positive attitudes and they're very goal-oriented in nature. They're truly contagious as peers and adults alike are inspired by their focus and determination to be the best they can be. They will always be in a place where they give support, and they're never swayed by the actions of others, and that's what makes them unique. They consistently make positive choices and help others do so as well. Our valedictorian and salutatorian have devoted countless hours to their church groups and to their church, and they're very spiritual, and they have a great deal of faith. They work in sponsored volunteer activities. They're both great role models. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce the valedictorian and the salutatorian of our class, and both their GPAs are over 4.0. The salutatorian for the class of 2004 is 2000. What did I say? 4. Listen, it's nervous up here. It's hot. Okay, you got to bring me back. You know, we're close to church. I'm gonna get the spirit in a minute. All right. Valeria Endorro Reyes, salutatorian, 2014. And many of these young people didn't know to the very last minute. I'll explain to you why. And this is a true transformation. Gerardo de Jesus. I told Geraldo when I graduated high school, I only weighed 105 pounds, and I'm twice the man now that I was when I graduated high school. Everybody knows Geraldo has been determined to be a healthier heart, body, and soul. So I'm going to introduce them and give them an opportunity to talk to you about their journey.
Hello to all tonight. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight with all of you. Hola, Dios les bendiga a todos. Un placer de poder estar aquí hoy y de ser pues el que tenga, ¿verdad?, el más alto promedio. Les doy gracias a todos ustedes. ¿Verdad? Me ha sido dado este privilegio y le doy gracias a todos los que tengan aquí hoy. It has been given me this privilege tonight, and this journey hasn't been easy, as we say. I came from Puerto Rico going on to 10th grade, so it hasn't been easy, the transition. But even though all the challenges and all the stuff that have been going on, I've been able to overcome all the challenges, and I thank all of you tonight for being here, and not only being here, but supporting our class, which is best class. And I give thanks to all of you tonight. Le doy gracias a todos ustedes por estar aquí. Y verdaderamente, pues, es un placer. Como digo, pues, el que persevera triunfa. Those who persevere, as the speaker was saying, those who persevere overcome. And I think it's very important to see that not only me, not only the salutatorian, but all of us have persevered, and we have overcome the challenges. We have overcome all the academic difficulties, because it's not easy to be doing all this stuff, and not only maybe some of you working, some studying, but it's been a great opportunity for all of us today. And I want to ask you all to give a great round of applause to this great class of 2014. So now I'm going to proceed to the speech. I wanted to give a few words to Valeria, but she doesn't want to talk tonight. She's a little nervous herself. I confess you that I'm a little nervous. I was confident before coming here, but when I saw the people, I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. So I'm going to be reading a little speech. Voy a estar leyendo un pequeño discurso esta noche, pero no quiero que vean esto como un discurso. I don't want you guys to see this as just a boring speech about me or about what I've done. And I want you guys to listen to what I have to say tonight, because I think it's very important for all of us to apply this thought that came to my mind, and I think all of you will be able to see it more as a word of advice than anything else. Voy a estar, ¿verdad?, leyendo este discurso, la cual tiene por título Sean ustedes sabios. I'm going to be reading this in English and Spanish tonight. Voy a estar leyendo en inglés y en español, y se titula, and this speech is titled, Be Ye Wise. So I'm going to be reading in English, and then I'll be reading in Spanish. Don't worry, it won't be too long. Okay. So it says, fellow graduates, family, friends, administrators, principals, and everyone here today, my greetings to you. I'm very happy that all of you are here today. It is my privilege to give you this speech, but I don't want you to see this as some boring speech speaking about me and what I've done, because for me in this moment, that is not really important. Of course, my dedication is what got me here, And everyone understands that to be valedictorian, it takes a lot of work. And you have to have good grades, but this is not about me. This is about us as fellow graduates, the group, not just one person. And before we graduate, if there's something I want you to think about after this graduation, if there's something I want to stay with you, are these words of advice from this guy giving the speech. You may not care, but I do. You may not worry, but I do. And even though I may not know you well, I may not know you too well, or you may not know me, I care as a human being about your well-being. The advice that I want to give to you is the following. Be wise in the decisions you make in your future. I'm not talking about going to college or getting a job right after high school or whatever you'll do after the graduation. I'm talking about your decisions. What are you going to do with your life? What are your goals? It's not too late to think about that because you still have opportunities going for you. You still have a future to look forward to. But you have to have a goal, a purpose to pursue. You need to understand that the goal you pursue will affect other people around you. The decisions you make are important to you and your community. If you're here today, it's because you made the wise decision to take responsibility. Not that those who didn't graduate weren't wise in their decisions, but they realized too late that they needed to take responsibility, and hopefully next year they will do so. But for those of you who are here now, you made it, you passed, and the simple fact you passed is awesome. But this is only the start to a great journey you're going to take. This is only the beginning of it. That's why my advice to you is to be wise in the decisions you make for your future. Think before you act. Should you do this or should you take this action? Think about the results of these actions. What are the benefits of making such a decision? What is this going to lead me to? For example, I decided to be wise, although I did slack off in the 11th grade, but I got back up on my feet for 12th grade. I decided to focus on what I needed to focus, to take responsibility for my actions, to do what I needed to do the best I can. That's what being wise is, doing the correct thing even though you may not like it. I'm not more intelligent than anyone in this room. I don't have a greater IQ than anyone present. I'm not better than anyone here. I just made the right decisions. And I guarantee you, if you make the right decisions, you will excel. You could be the next Steve Jobs. You could be the next Einstein. You could be the next Benjamin Franklin. But you need to be wise in the decisions for your future. You're grown up and can do whatever you want, but know that whatever you do today will affect your tomorrow. I give thanks for your attention to this word of advice, and I hope that we can enjoy this moment as a senior class together. Thank you, God bless you, and have a marvelous graduation day. Ahora pues voy a leerlo en español para aquellos que pues no entienden mucho inglés, para que lo puedan entender. Dice: compañeros escolares, familia, amigos, administradores, directores y todos los que están aquí presentes hoy, saludos a todos. Estoy muy feliz de que todos ustedes estén aquí hoy. Es un privilegio de dar este discurso, pero yo no quiero que vean esto como un discurso aburrido que habla de mi persona o de lo que he hecho, porque para mí estos detalles en este momento no son realmente muy importantes. Obviamente mi dedicación es lo que me llevó a tener este título y todos entienden que para ser la persona con más alto promedio se necesita mucho trabajo y hay que tener buenas notas, pero ciertamente en cuanto a mí se refiere, esta actividad no es acerca de mí o de mis logros o de lo que yo he hecho. Esto es acerca de nosotros como compañeros de graduación. El grupo, no solo una persona. Y antes de que nos graduemos, si hay algo en que quiero que piense después de esta graduación, si hay algo que quiero que se quede con usted, son estas palabras de consejo de este joven que va a dar a este discurso. Tal vez usted no se preocupe, pero yo sí. Y aunque yo no lo conozca bien a usted, o usted no me conozca bien a mí, me interesa como ser humano que soy su bienestar. El consejo que quiero dar es el siguiente: sean sabios en las decisiones que tomen en su futuro. No estoy hablando de ir a la universidad o de conseguir un trabajo después de la escuela secundaria o lo que sea que vaya a hacer después de la graduación. Estoy hablando acerca de sus decisiones. ¿Qué vas a hacer con tu vida? ¿Cuáles son tus metas? No es demasiado tarde para pensar en esto, debido a que todavía usted tiene la oportunidad. Usted todavía tiene un futuro por delante, pero usted tiene que tener una meta, un objetivo a seguir. Es necesario comprender que el objetivo que usted tiene afectará a otras personas a su alrededor. Las decisiones que tome son importantes para usted y su comunidad. Si está aquí hoy es porque usted tomó la sabia decisión de asumir su responsabilidad. No es que los que no se graduaron con nosotros no eran prudentes en sus decisiones, pero se dieron cuenta demasiado tarde de que tenían que asumir su responsabilidad. Y espero que el próximo año lo hagan. Pero para aquellos de ustedes que están aquí ahora, te graduaste, pasaste el grado, y el simple hecho de que hayas pasado es impresionante. Pero esto es solo el comienzo de un gran viaje que vas a tomar. Es por eso que mi consejo para ustedes es que sean sabios en las decisiones que tomen para su futuro. Piensa antes de actuar. Debes de hacer esto, debes de tomar tal acción. Piensa acerca de los resultados de estas acciones. ¿Cuáles son los beneficios de tomar tal decisión? ¿A qué esto me llevará? Por ejemplo, yo decidí ser sabio y aunque me aflojé un poquito en el 11º grado, nuevamente me hice responsable en el 12º grado. Decidí enfocarme en lo que tenía que enfocarme. Empecé a asumir la responsabilidad de mis acciones para hacer lo que tenía que hacer y hacer lo mejor que podía. Eso es lo que significa ser sabio. Hacer lo correcto a pesar de que no te guste hacerlo. Yo no soy más inteligente que nadie en este lugar. Yo no tengo un mejor cerebro con tecnología integrada y una visión fotográfica que me permite memorizarlo todo. No soy mejor que nadie aquí. Simplemente hice lo que era correcto. Y yo le garantizo que si usted toma las decisiones correctas, usted tendrá prosperidad en su vida. Usted podría ser el próximo Miguel Cotto, que es un boxeador puertorriqueño. Usted podría ser la próxima Sonia Sotomayor, que es una jueza de la Corte Suprema de este país. Usted podría ser el próximo dueño de la compañía Goya. Pero hay que ser prudente en las decisiones para su futuro. Usted es adulto y puede hacer lo que quiera, pero sépase que lo que haga hoy le afectará mañana. Le doy las gracias por su atención en este día, a este consejo, y espero que podamos disfrutar de este momento juntos como la clase graduanda que somos. De nuevo, gracias, que Dios los bendiga y que tengan un maravilloso día de graduación.
Let's give him a big round of applause. Dr. Dell spoke of our poverty and the statistics, but what those research reports don't show is the richness of our culture, of our music, of our spirit, and that can never be measured in a survey with money. So I want to thank you and remind our young people that we are rich in heritage and culture, and we too will overcome some of our challenges. I want to thank those two wonderful young people, and for the young man that decides to marry the silent one, she only speaks when it's necessary. Sort of like my wife, when she starts talking, I know I'm in big trouble. There's so many young people. Michael, I just want to apologize for all the girls that I made break up with you. Michael we worked on his game for 2 years, as you know, because he was a little scrawny guy, and we wanted to help him with girls, but we didn't know that they really found him, he was cute, and then we helped his self-esteem, but then again, he started dating a lot of people, but every day we'd break him up with another girl, so I want to apologize for that, because he has no girlfriend today, and I apologize for blocking that, so thank you. The Bendelin, also another young lady that fought a lot with me, and she's an early graduate. I'm so proud of you. As much as you would have liked to slap me 2 or 3 times, that would have cost you, but I know it would have felt good maybe. I don't know. But I want to thank you for your commitment. She's graduating a year early, and so I'm so very proud of you too. Besides, that helps my numbers for next year too. I talked about the moving of transformation and transformer, but picking our valedictorian and salutatorian was not an easy task, as it came to most of these kids are only separated by hundreds of thousands of percentage points. And the top 10 scholars were Geraldo de Jesus, Valera Toro Reyes, Natalia Rosado, Stephanie Aviles, Yarelis Morero, Sidney Vega Hidalgo, Stephanie Medina, Tanisha Dominguez, Soliasi de Jesus Rodriguez, and Genesis Colazo. Hundreds and thousands of points separated these young people. So, Nelson, I told you, stop messing with Michael, and they could have had those extra hundreds of a point. But it came down to the very, very last day, and it was so hard to give one because we talk about the quality here. We also talked about the opening of the movie. This class here, as we begin to recognize them, earned almost $2 million in scholarships and grants. That's money right there. So you don't forget, as we begin, during the years, many Monroe School students bring distinctions to themselves, their families, and the school, and they're being recognized today for their achievements. A variety of awards and scholarships have been presented to members of this class. I went to the Wegmans Hillside Scholarship. Over $60,000 was handed to students at Monroe. That was a big feat there. This class alone has been awarded more than close to $2 million. If you look around, the young people with the cords represent members of our National Honor Society. They did so with character, dignity, and distinction, so take a look at that. I would like to welcome now one of the hardest working young ladies. I'm actually glad that she got engaged because she's the only person that stays later at Monroe than I do, and I was angry because I wanted to have that record. But Miss Greco, the junior senior counselor.
Good evening. I've had the privilege of working with this class this year. Some of them I've only met this year, and some of them I've worked with for several years. But no matter how long, I just want to take this opportunity to say how proud I am of you, and that you have forever left an imprint in my heart. And I hope you understand how wonderful and talented you are, and that you will take that to continue to do really wonderful, wonderful things. So I also have the honor this evening of introducing 3 different young ladies who have received a distinguished award. Each year, the Irene and Sampson Jones Foundation awards one college scholarship in the amount of $5,000 per year for 4 years to a deserving graduating senior at James Monroe High School. This year, Monroe was fortunate enough to have 2 additional scholarships available through the foundation in the amount of $2,000 per year for 4 years. Mr. Sampson Jones lived in Rochester, New York, and attended James Monroe High School in the 1930s. He later moved out of the area and settled in Tompkins Cove, New York as an electrical engineer. Sampson Jones passed away in 2004. His fond memories of his years at James Monroe led to the creation of this scholarship program. To be eligible for this scholarship, students must have attended Monroe for a minimum of 2 years, be in need of financial assistance, and plan to attend an accredited college or university in the following school year. The scholarship recipient is selected based on his or her outstanding academic performance, extensive community involvement, and extracurricular activities, essay response, and letters of recommendation. Needless to say, quite a few things. It is my honor to announce that this year's recipients of the $8,000 scholarships are Shayla Burns, and Natalia Rosado Olivares. And it is also my honor to announce that this year's recipient of the $20,000 scholarship is Diana Abraham.
Dayanara has been picking on me the whole year, and she was one of those students also. I said, I got a surprise for you. I might not give it to you to keep talking about I'm not fair. And so congratulations on your scholarship. I visited her games, but wonderful young lady. I want to point out, Yesli de Jesus Rodriguez, where are you? Stand up. So Jesse's just been here a couple of years. And where's her mother? ¿Dónde está la mamá de ella? ¿Dónde está tu mamá? Where's your mom? Stand up. I got to tell you that they're the 2 most proficient students in the last 2 years at Monroe High School. When her mom arrived here, she spoke no English. Now she's working at Monroe in a special ed classroom, and she speaks better Spanish to some kids that have been in this country for so many, many years. So I'm encouraging her to become a TA and then also go back to school to become a teacher. She learned Spanish too, and her Spanish is better. We speak Spanish and English at Monroe. So thank you, and thank you for being such a role model. Now, I had mentioned before that this was the first time that I had invited my family, and I invited them for a purpose. As a person that was from New York City, I came here by myself, and I've been away from my family pretty much since 1983. And you miss el arroz con pollo and all the cooking and the love, los besitos, el amor that you get from your mother. But there was someone that welcomed me. I remember when I met Maria, and I decided to pop the question. I invited her father and Julio Vasquez and Miriam to ask them, the traditional way to marry. And ironically and surprisingly, they said yes. But they embraced me right away as part of my family. He became the dad I never had. He was that role model. They're one of 13, 2 of 13. And so today I want to honor Abuela. It's the first person, and if I get choked up, my journey at Monroe started with the passing of Abuela. I never had one. And we take so much for granted. But Maria Rosa Vasquez became my grandmother. She actually liked me more than Maria. And I don't think you understand how much you really have if you listen to what other people say you don't have. I miss my mother today because she's not next door. I miss Abuela because she exemplified some values that I carry with me. I would say, Abuela, ¿qué hace? Viendo caso cerrado. It's like Judge Wapner and stuff, but you know, here's a lady that I thought would outlive us all, because one day she was in the hospital fighting for her life, and the next day she was putting a function together. She was the matriarch. But Abuela was so kind and loving, and I want to talk about her. And today I'm going to give back a little bit because I've been very blessed despite my journey. I never was expected to graduate from high school. I was a D student. As a matter of fact, Dr. Dell, it took me 8 years. I didn't think it took anybody possibly longer than that, but I didn't have any kids, so that's probably why I got it done in 8 years. So it took me 8 years to get a bachelor, which most of you will get in 3 and 4. Maria Rosa Vasquez didn't get past 3rd grade, and my mom didn't make it past 4th. But that education doesn't define, and that situation doesn't define your character or who you are or what you can do in life, because you know the difference between right and wrong. And Abuela knew the difference between right and wrong. She exemplified these things: commitment to excellence. 13, you know, because when people talk about Puerto Ricans and the many kids, like, oh, they're never going to amount to anything. But 13, from a doctor to a principal to a commissioner, working with, Mayor Duffy. We got counselors. We have engineers at Kodak, at Sunoco. 13 for 13, man, she was batting 1,000 with a 3rd grade education. So don't let anybody show you a number that doesn't represent what's in here in tu corazón. You have so much more. And she had a commitment to excellence. She expected us all to behave, because all you know, abuelas, all I have to do is look, give that look. And she would straighten us out. Her concern for justice, because you know, when the guys got together, we'd say inappropriate things to one another, as you do when you're amongst your friends. And she said, no digan eso, eso no está bien. I would never say anything wrong about abuela because I was building a relationship. I'd let the other guys say it. And compassion for humanity. She was always at church. She always believed and she gave back. She was a very spiritual woman. The one regret I did have is that I never went to church with her. And we take so much for granted that tomorrow there'll be another day, and there isn't tomorrow. So don't forget to tell people you love them, to hug them, to kiss them, and see what they have and not what they don't have. Today I'd like to recognize two special young ladies here at the 2014 Maria Rosa Vasquez, and I'd like to welcome Dr. Miriam Vasquez, to come upstairs to help me present this, and Julio Vasquez to come also and present this. My first person I'd like to, it's a $500 scholarship. I'm taking that out of Maria's savings. It'll be $250. You use it however you want. All you have to do is show me that you really did show up on a college campus, and for the second semester, I'll send you another $250. The first recipient of what I hope will be a long, long line of awards, Ruby Melendez. Okay, this is tax purposes. Got to take this picture. Thank you, Ruby. And the next recipient for the next $500 scholarship for the 2014 Maria Rosa Vasquez scholarship is Valeria Toro Reyes. Thank you, Julio. Thank you, Miriam. And thank you, Maria. So thank you for sharing Abuela with me. And now I have to give some of that love back so that you feel the love that Abuela showed to us. I'm much richer today, and as a result, I feel a little more generous. I'd like to also share with you something that no other school has, our musical performance. Please welcome members of our graduating class to our, wait a minute, I'm sorry, musical performances. Members of our graduating class to the stage. The choir, is it the choir? The choir. Come on. Oh, you're great. Come on. I'm sorry. And we do have members from our, there you go. These are my angels, and those are the voice of angels. Now, how about another special treat? Let's invite our steel drums up for a little... You're gonna love this, folks. clase. I told you, they're not just beautiful, they're not just smart, but they're awfully talented. Gracias, gracias. You see, this is why I'm trying to milk this out, because this is the best part of a school year, when we get to the finish line and we get to see not only the graduates, but also see some of their talent. So thank you, Ms. Moses and Ms. Scott, for all the wonderful things you do in bringing out this culture. I also want to talk about the steel band, the steel drums. This has only been on the first year. Ms. Scott was only here at .2. Just a .2, and Bohan has been really excited about bringing more music, and this is unique music. You're not going to find this any other place in the county. But this year we were able, after 3 or 4 years of fighting for Ms. Scott about bringing talented people, not just on where they fall in an order, but I want to thank Lisa Scott, because we are for hire. We are for hire. If you need us at a function, we charge reasonable rates. So thank you very, very much. Lisa Scott, Ms. Moses, thank you. ¿Tienen hambre todavía? ¿Tienen hambre o calor primero? Okay, it's almost there. This is the best part. All right? I'm going to need money because I'm a little broke now. Tengo 6 pesitos aquí. I got the first tacos at Taco Bell. All right, presentation of diplomas. You ready for this? Because this is going to make it official. Let's make some noise, people. We're going to graduate now. Okay, candidates, you're about to receive your diplomas. Before we begin the presentation, we ask that parents, please, por favor, and guests to remain in their seats. I know you're excited, but we're going to be here. You can take pictures outside. But please, don't ruin the moment for anyone else's child. They've been waiting for a long time also. Please remain in your seats during the ceremony, most importantly, so that the graduates' names will be heard by their parents and the guests. Please give the reader your full attention. Thank you. Assisting me in the presentation of diplomas this year is Mr. Anthony Bianchi. I knew they threw his name in here somewhere again, I knew. For the senior class, and Miss Sarah Greco, senior school counselor. The reader will be Assistant Principal, Academy Director, Ms. Chevalier Blackman. Mrs. Puerto Rico.
Are we ready? Come on up, ladies and gentlemen. Diana Abraham. Brian Aguilar. Nelson Alicea. Stephanie Aviles. Michael Brown. Shayla Burns. Bendalyn Cantu. Sabrina Carter. Xavier Chaplin. Genesis Collazo. Gerardo de Jesús. Sojesli de Jesús. Tanisha Domínguez. Ranel Furman. Karen Fusant. Jalisha Goss. Patrick Hell. Lázaro Hernández. Kitana Kendrick. Everton Lewis. Pablo Lopez. Yarelis Marrero. Steven Matos. Lisette Medina. Stephanie Medina. Ruby Melendez. Coral Ortiz. Nicole Ortiz. Jesús Osuna. Mirelis Pavón. Rebeca Pérez. Tanisha Rivera. Samuel Rodríguez. Natalia Rosado. Jorge Santiago. Evelyn Smith. Victoria Smith. Michael Thomas. Valeria Toro Reyes. Francisco Torres. Johnny Torres. Brianna Totten. Sydney Vega. Congratulations all. Felicidades.
Let's just give them another round of applause. You know, this is a really happy day. But it's, in a certain respect, it's kind of a sad day because many of our classmates that started with you at Monroe or in 7th grade, or if you knew from elementary, are not here with you to celebrate this day. It was a little bump in their road, and they're going to take a different road. It's not a wrong road, but they're going to take a different path. So I ask that you not forget your classmates, whether you're graduating early or you're graduating a little late, but remember to reach back and encourage them not to lose sight that they're almost there. No one's going to ever ask you, how many years did it take you to graduate high school? No one's ever going to ask you, how many years did it take you to graduate college? Nobody really cares. They just want to do, New York State cares. That's the only people that care about it, whether you graduate in 4 years or 5. But for you, once you get that piece of paper, no one will be able to take that body of knowledge away from you. So don't forget to reach back and encourage some of your classmates to make it to this point so they too can experience. And as the principal and the individual authorized by the state of New York to confer the high school diploma, you ready? I certify that I have reviewed the records of each and every one of these candidates, and that each meets the requirement of a New York State high school diploma, please present the candidates for graduation. Please rise. Turn your tassel. Congratulations, here are the graduates of James Monroe 2014. Let the party begin. Evening, you may join the graduates in the corridor in the front of the building. Thank you very much. Be safe and be healthy. Thank you.